Well, George, NHL training camps have opened, which obviously tells us the season is right around the corner. What has you most excited for a 2019-2020 NHL season?
Well, I'm always excited to see my former teams. I play with 4 teams, but there's mostly 3 in particular that I'm really interested all the time. There's always the Oilers that I want to see if they're going to make the playoff this year. I was drafted by them. They gave me my first chance in the NHL, and I'm excited to see with the best 2 players in the world if the addition that they did this year, James Neal that came in for Lucic, how it's going to be and how the Oilers are going to work their way back into the playoff. Of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins, which I play with Crosby and Malkin also, to see if they're going to rebound from the first sweep series in the playoff last year, and the Montreal Canadiens. Since I work in Montreal right now, I'm on the radio. The city is always more vibrating when the team's in the playoffs. So it's always exciting for me because each season I always follow those teams really closely, still in touch with a lot of guys that played on those teams, and always wish them best of luck.
You didn't mention the Coyotes. You played in Phoenix. Are you following them?
Well, I follow them now. Yes, I follow every team, but it's just that I wasn't there for that long.
Right.
I was there for like a couple months, and we were so bad that I asked to be traded because there was nobody in the stands, and I wasn't. I was there for such a brief amount of time that I didn't really feel that team close to my heart, and tons of memories to remember. All I remember when I think about my passage in Phoenix is, yes, I was having a season in the NHL point-wise, but we're getting our ass handed up to us all the time. So I was happy to go from Phoenix to Pittsburgh to have a chance to win the Stanley Cup.
And, of course, I'm just teasing you. But the weather's great, of course, which you would remember. But, George, before
I don't need to work. I don't need to work on my tanning, so I was okay for the weather.
Okay, so that's where I'm going right now. I saw you in Delisle. It was one of the funniest speeches I've ever seen in my life. You, Dennis Hull, and Theo Fleury. And you said in your intro that you were like the NHL's most unlikely enforcer. And I did not expect a stand-up comedy routine, so I got a lot of questions on that. One, how long have you been working on that routine? It was hilarious. You were like Kevin Hart up there.
Thank you. After the interview, I'll give you $100 for saying that.
Yeah, right.
It's just that I'm a clown at heart. You know what? The thing is if most tough guys, we play such an intense job to fight and stuff that we don't. A lot of guys are loose up and they clown around, they joke around, and we're kids at heart. Most people when they get to know me, they can't believe that I have over 200 fights in the NHL, and I can't even believe it myself because I like pranking people. I like to joke around and always be the center of attraction with goofing around and make people laugh. It's something that I've been doing ever since I was a kid. So the fact that I'm doing it today in front of many people, even better because I'm not shy. And, if I have to look stupid to people to make them laugh, I love it. I just love it. I rather entertain by doing jokes than with fighting because, fighting was not funny. And now, at least now people get to know the real person behind the hockey player that used to be a fighter.
Well, and maybe that's why you do it. I don't know, but I enjoyed it so much. I thought about it several times since, by the way. And I love going out and talking to people too. But let me ask you this. What's the question you get the most when you're out speaking in communities like that? Is there one question you get more than any other ones?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. People, that's actually pretty funny, but people are like, how does a 300-pound elephant could be vegan?
You're vegan?
Because, since 2009, I'm vegan. And I do public speaking about veganism all around the world. And every time I see people, they're like, how could you be that big eating salad? How do you do it? What do you do for protein? I get this every day. People just can't believe it. They look at me and they're like, my God, how do you not eat meat? How do you eat that big? And I respond to that, well, elephant don't eat meat, right? And I'm as big as an elephant. Right? So
No, but a lot of our viewers are into health and nutrition, so I got to be serious about it. How are you that big? Because one vegan I know is Paul McCartney, and he's a stick. How are you that big as a vegan?
It's funny because most people that are vegan, unfortunately, if you look at Paul McCartney, they're like yogis that weighs 100 pounds, and when the wind is blowing too hard, they flow in the sky, right? every time somebody talks about veganism, they're so skinny. Then we get somebody that is much bigger. People are like, "Oh my God, there's something wrong. What's going on? How does he do it?" Well, you know, too much of nuts or too much of carbs, too much of anything, you could blow up, right? It's not because you're vegan, then essentially that you're the best health of your wife. So you have to watch your weight anyway and what you eat, especially, especially carbs. So when I played, I was 260. Now I'm 300. But there was a time when I retired, I went almost up to 400. I was so fat. I looked like a medicine ball, and I could do sumo wrestling, and I would actually beat all the China people that were doing sumo. I was so big. And then I was like, when I was doing conference about veganism, and I was so big, and I was sweating just going up the stage, people were like, "Oh, it doesn't look that healthy to be vegan." So I trimmed down quite a lot. I lost 100 pounds. So I went back to, I gave birth to 4 kids, and then I went back to 300, and then it looks much better. But like everything, right? Everything has to be done in moderation, whether you're vegan or not. And the fact that I own a vegan restaurant didn't help me in the beginning, but now I'm really careful about what I'm doing and stuff to make sure that when I talk about a healthy way of living, people can look at me and say, "Now, oh yeah, that looks healthy."
Well, you're a good poster child for veganism. Then I like steak. That's me, but I'm also pro-choice. So
No, you don't say you like steak. Say that you like probiotics, you like HGH, you like to give the chance to your body to catch cancer because of the HGH that make all the body will grow up. You want to be sick eventually, so that's why you're eating it, and you don't care about animal suffering, you don't care about the environment, and all that stuff, right? So that's
you
why you
nailed
do
it.
it, and I understand.
You nailed it. So let's go to hockey. Edmonton, the Oilers. We've determined an Oilers show. Big expectations up there, as there always are. They got a new head coach, a new GM, a new goalie, but a lot of the old parts too. Your thoughts on the Oilers here in this new season?
Well, like everybody, I was really surprised and disappointed when they missed the playoff. It doesn't make sense. You cannot bet like the best 2 centers in the NHL and not making the playoff. And the one thing about that is there's zero to blame to Connor and to Draisaitl that had amazing year, especially last year. Draisaitl hitting 50 goals in his last game, and it's remarkable what McDavid does. Like knowing the fact that in every game plan when he plays against a team, they're circling his name. They're saying, "Okay, we're playing 3 or 4 guys on him," and nobody could stop him. It's crazy. It's just that Charlie got supporting cast around the core guys that just weren't good enough. And unfortunately, some of the trade that he's done, Griffin Reinhardt, we could have had Matthew Barzal there, and Eberle that is gone, and some of the guys like Reinstrom that came in, and guys like that. You look at that and you're like, well, what if we didn't? The team we would have had on paper. We can't let the past is gone. Charlie's gone. It was really good to get Allen because Allen coming from Detroit, the experience that he has, that was really good hiring. They went outside the box to get a guy that has, the way I look at it is Allen now with McDavid and Draisaitl kind of has the same base in Detroit with Zetterberg and Datsyuk, right? You have 2 unbelievable guys that you could build around and bring guys around to make your team better. Because the others are not that far off. And now this year, I really hope that with James Neal, it didn't work in Calgary, but James Neal's a shooter. McDavid is such a great passer that maybe that's what they needed. A shooter like him that could play with a guy that like Draisaitl, McDavid that could pass the puck. And maybe he could have unbelievable year just like he had in Vegas. And it didn't work in Calgary, but I think in Edmonton with a guy like that, maybe it'll make a huge difference, and I really hope so. I'm always at heart. I'm like every time like I go see their openers, and I always hope that they make the playoff, and I love the fans, the community. My twins live there in Edmonton. I go back to Edmonton all the time. That every year, to my heart, I always hope that the Oilers bring back the cup to the city.
Well, and interesting that they basically swapped goalies with the Flames. Talbot's in Calgary, Mike Smith's in Edmonton, and you just can't have the first shot of the game going in. I think it happened 17 times last year. I mean, let's not discount the change in goal.
Yeah, but the thing with the goalie is that it's a tough situation. Charlie, like just before he leaves, he signed Koskinen, he gave him an extension, and then it didn't. It was kind of weird the way it was that to give him an extension that far for somebody that didn't really do much in the league. But we can't lie that goalie right now in Edmonton is a problem. The year that they made the playoff, we have to remember that Talbot had a sub year. It was crazy the year that he had. He was a co-MVP with McDavid the year that they made the playoff. And then after, what we saw from Talbot is like, did the Oilers make the playoff because he played above his head and now he was just back to normal and the Oilers just weren't good enough because they didn't have a good goalie? Because, that's the one big thing, the big change that we saw. And, to change the goalie now, hopefully it works. But the thing that I was the most surprised about is the trade with Niels because, back in the day, I played with the Battle of Alberta when I was playing Edmonton. There's no way you would have traded your tough guy to your biggest rival. Like the Battle of Alberta before was blood, it was fighting, it was insane. And now you trade Lucic to Calgary that we're supposed to hate for the Battle of Alberta. But now, like, it changed in the NHL. Now guys are talking to each other. They pet themselves in the back in a pregame skate. How you doing? They train together in the summer. They have a drink before the game, after the game. It's not like it was before. So, and fighting is going down. I understand the game is changing. It's more faster and people find it more. But it really shows you how the NHL has changed. If you always were willing to give Lucic to a team that you have to beat to make the playoff, or you have to go through to make the Stanley Cup final. But regarding that trade, I think that for both teams is going to be beneficial because for Edmonton, you get a pure scorer in James Neal that it's not like in 1 year the guy just forgot how to score. He's a pure goal scorer, and I think that he has really great passer that's going to play with him, and the others are going to give him a chance to play in the top two lines. And Lucic, I know him personally, and I know that last year he wasn't happy with the season that he had, but he trained really hard to prove everybody wrong. And the biggest motivation that he could have is to actually play in a team in the same division that trades you to a team that you face so many. So he's probably saying, "Oh, really? They think I'm so much of an monster that they're willing to give me to the Flame, to their biggest enemy, and they think I'm not going to be a factor." So I'm pretty sure that he's going to want to prove something too. And it's actually something that the Flame needed. So I think that both teams are really beneficial, will benefit from this trade.
Yeah, well, you know how trades work. It's usually neither team wanted either guy, so the swap's made. Is it too early to sit here today and say who won the trade? And when will we know who won the trade?
Well, we're going to know pretty fast. If we talked again in December, we'll know right in the beginning of the season because right away with James Neal, we're going to know it has to click. If it clicks, it's going to click now. We can't be at 40 games in a season and say hopefully he gets his scoring touch back. If he came in good shapes and then he puts the puck in it because that's his job. He doesn't score, doesn't put points in the net because James Neal is not a set-up guy. Don't expect him to go in his office, set up behind the net, and then feeding up people. He's got to shoot. He's got to score. He's got to be involved in the play. I think that he will, but right away we'll know if involved right at the beginning of the season. The same thing for Calgary. Calgary will know right now if Lucic is going to be a force like he used to be when 30-goal season in Boston or LA when he was a wrecking crew. And that's what they expect him to be and to give a lot of room to all the guys. Look at the season that Gaudreau had last year. If Lucic is a force, imagine how much room he's going to have. He's a small guy and there wasn't much guy to protect him. But now you got, there's three heavyweights left in the NHL. There's Ryan Reeves, Derek Engelland, and Milan Lucic. Those three are the toughest guy in the NHL right now. And Calgary has one. So the room is going to give to that team is really good. But I think that within 10 games into the season, if we have this question again, we'll know. And I wouldn't be surprised that at that time, this trade will be pretty equal.
I got two last questions for you, George. And by the way, I see why you're so successful because the passion, you'll never lose the passion, no matter how long you're out of the game. I enjoyed your story. Yeah. I enjoyed your stories about your mom. She lives in Montreal, right? Let's talk about the Canadiens and what you see ahead, because there's a lot of Habs fans out here in this part of the world, as you know.
The Canadiens right now, they made a lot of change. And actually, what saved Bergevin's career in Montreal is the two trades that he's done for Galchenyuk and Pacioretty. Those three trades, if he messed that up, he would have been gone. And what a gift that they got with the trade with Galchenyuk for Max Domi. Because I remember in the beginning when Max Domi came to Montreal, people were like crying murder about this trade. And now it's the steal. It was a steal. When they traded Pacioretty to Vegas, Vegas imposed Montreal to actually take Tatar because they didn't want him. If you remember when Tatar came from Detroit for those first pick, in the playoff he didn't play. So they imposed Tatar to Montreal, and he ended up being in the first line and an unbelievable player, an unbelievable guy, which the best nickname ever to not Tatar. Like Montreal went with that all year long. It was crazy. It was insane. But no, it was a great addition. Now with Suzuki and Peeling and Kotkaniemi, all the young guys, the future Montreal is great. But now there's pressure on the management now that the veteran guys like Price, like Weber, they want to win now. They understand that the future of the team is really good, but Price has been talking a lot about the window that he has to win. He said publicly that the window is closing. About 3 years, for the next 3 years, you're gonna have Price on top of the game. So he cannot wait for 3 years for all the rookies that they have now to pan out to win. So it's to see what the team is gonna do with that, because they tried with Sebastian Aho, it didn't work out, and of course it didn't, because if Dundon let Aho go from his team, Carolina has nobody left in the stand. His team is done. So you match that up. They tried with Gardner, but the minute that Carolina knew that Montreal were trying, they give up another year or whatever, and they snack it back from Montreal because it's so mad at the Canadian for what they did with Al, right? So he went there, but they tried with Gardner. They tried with Matt Duchene, which Matt Duchene did what many guys do when he's a free agent, use the Canadian as negotiation to raise up the ante, and he end up in Nashville. So Montreal has a really hard time with unrestricted free agent. They don't want to sign in Montreal, so they got to do it through trade. But I'll be interested to see this year if the management is gonna provide some guys to give a chance to the guys to actually win the cup. Because Price doesn't want to just make the playoff; he wants to win the cup. And I think that this year, looking at this year coming up, if the power play could be a bit better because it was last year. You got Price. He finished the year. If he starts the year the way that he finished, and now you have Weber healthy that is going to start the season because he didn't last year. With those, if they got 96 points, and with those, Kotkaniemi is going to have a better year this year. Drouin is coming back motivated. Montreal should be in a playoff, but it's going to be really hard because all the team around them got better. Montreal every year, usually they have a really good start to the season. So it's important to do so because it's tough to make that up, to win those, to get those wins back if you dig too much of a hole. But I think the team is not done, and they might be looking to add some more players to make their team even better. But we'll see with time.
You should talk to Carey Price and get him on a Tom Brady diet. He could play till he's 45, and the window will be a lot bigger. But right?
Actually, he's the opposite of Tom Brady because Tom Brady now is vegan. So if you want to know if an athlete could be successful vegan, he's actually raw vegan, and he's going to play till he's 50. And with Antonio Brown this year, he's going to win another Super Bowl. I was going to swear, but I don't want to swear because there's probably kids listening to this, and it'll be really bad. And we put soap in kids' mouth when they swear, so I don't want to do that because I wouldn't post it myself. But anyway, so to go back to Carey Price, the opposite of Brady, Carey Price is a hunter. In the summer he hunts and stuff. So when I played in Montreal, I was talking to him about being vegan. He used to laugh at my face and laugh and find it so funny. And he said, "Oh, this will never gonna last." And the guy hunts, and he used to show me pictures of him hunting. So it's the opposite of Brady, but still, he's pretty good. He's the best goalie in the world right now. Whether the team made the playoff last year or not, you ask any players that play the game, they all said that Carey Price is the best. And who better to trust than the people that are playing against them?
There's no doubt. Lastly, if I've known enough about you, I think you're pro-union, pro-player. And with these camps opening up, no Mitch Marner, no Brock Besser, no Patrick Laine, it's zapping my love of the NHL right now with these guys not in camp. But where do you stand on the holdouts right now and the money being thrown around and turned down?
Well, if I look at Marner, even I am pro player, but I don't understand why he's turning down 7 years, $77 million. He wants 3 years because he wants an average of 9 to 10 million for the first two years, and then the third year maybe 12 or 13. So then the qualifying offers start at that amount. but 77 million for 7 years, 11 million a year for security. Why don't you help out your team that got like unbelievable player? You got Tavares there, you got Austin Matthews. Help them out a bit. They're giving you 7 million. And then that's why I'm really surprised. I think that, if he's really going to go in Zurich, like in Switzerland, like if he goes to Zurich in Europe and hold out for that, to me, it doesn't make any sense. But, and for the Jets, you look at the Jets with, Kyle Connor and Patrick Laney. It's unfortunate because teams try to win so much that now the cap is like blocking them now. And now they got to find a way to make space. And I don't know if the Jets could keep Connor and Liney in the lineup. Maybe they have to trade one of them. Because the thing that's crazy about that is camp is starting. They give an extension to the defenseman, $50 million contract, and you haven't signed Connor and Laney yet. And they must be wondering they're signing guys on the team, and I'm not signed yet. And then training camp is starting. Paul Maurice go to Finland to go Laney. I don't know if it's going to change anything, but it's a really tough situation because the Jets was supposed to do way better last year. That's when they had the whole team together. And then with all the guys that are gone and possibly one more gone, it's going to be tough for them to repeat any close success that they did last year. But I'm really interested to see what they're going to do because there's no way right now with their cap that they could keep both guys. So I think one guy is going to go somewhere else. And you look at Tampa, like Braden Point is unbelievable. He had an unreal season, but his team is stacked. They're pretty much against the cap too. So what are they going to do with that? Is he going to help the team and take less money? If you look at Tom Brady, if you want to do a parallel, because you just mentioned me earlier, I have so much respect for him because even though my team is the Seahawks and I'm a Russell Wilson fan, Tom Brady always takes less money to give a chance for his team to get better players so he can win Super Bowl. So when you see all those players in the NFL making as much money as he can, Brady takes less, but he wins rings. That's what he wins. At the end of the day, what's more important? How is he going to remember? Are we quantifying and saying how good a QB is because how much money that he makes or how many rings that he has and he's helping out his team? It would just be nice today with the money that guys make to have the same the same attached to the team and help them out that way to put the team in a position to have guys to make themselves a better team.
Well, this has been awesome as I expected. I think the viewers will certainly love it. And Georges, I appreciate your honesty and your spark and what you're doing for these communities when you go out to the fundraisers to help out and give back. Thank you so much for all you do, man.
Hey, thanks for the invite. And anytime you want me, I'm glad to join.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.